Hello everyone, and welcome to Manc and Yank. I'm Tom, and I'm a Manc.
I'm Manc, and I'm a Yank.
And today we're looking at the Inbetweeners. Meg, ever heard of the Inbetweeners before?
No.
Not. Have you got any sort of clue as to what this is or what you're going to be watching?
I'm guessing in between means it's some type of awkward portion in life, so either like between childhood and puberty, or maybe puberty and adulthood.
You are sort of getting there, but not quite. It's more to do with their social status.
Oh, okay. So in between losers and popular.
Yes, kinda, yeah. That's sort of, I think, where the name comes from.
Okay.
So, we have previously done an episode on Blackadder. Before we get going though, I am going to say thank you and hello to any new viewers we've had. The Blackadder episode seems to have been very popular. So, if you're one of our new viewers, welcome. We've had lots of views on that video, but subscriber count is still kind of low. So, do us a favour, go do it now. Just click it. It's easy. It's free. It's not going to cost you anything.
Thank you for watching.
But in all seriousness though, thank you for everyone who's been watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, everything. So big thanks to you. So today we're looking at a more modern comedy. It is now 10 years old, The Inbetweeners, and the characters are sort of a similar age to what we were when it came out. So these characters are about the same age roughly as what we were when it came out.
Okay.
They're about 16, 17 years of age at this point. It came out just over 10 years ago, 2009 I believe. So we were just coming out of sixth form college. Well, I was. You weren't, obviously.
It doesn't exist.
I was just starting to get to go into uni at that time when the Inbetweeners came out and was on TV. So a little bit younger, despite the fact, like with all things, the actors were older. The actors are older than us. So that is something that does blend into the American tradition of high school students being played by people in their mid-20s.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot more common back in the 90s. More so in the early 2000s. I think they've started to phase that out a little. They started to bring in younger people who play the more realistic age because they realize it ages more realistically. Or they bring in somebody younger because it's very easy to just make up somebody and make them appear older than it is to make them appear younger. So.
And what I was going to ask about was about things in British schools that you may have heard of, but don't really exist in the States. Now, my thinking on this was that I know through watching a lot of American TV shows and films, there's loads of things and things that the kids in those shows will say and do that don't actually mean anything to us. Okay, well things like
know.
Okay, so like sometimes you hear kids talking about how they want to do stuff for extra credit, and that's not a British thing. We don't get a credit system.
Yeah, but you guys are different though. Like your pass-fail system is based on like one giant exam, isn't it? So ours isn't. So like ours is an accumulation of the entire year's work. So like extra credit would be, if you're doing real bad, you can boost your score up.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the system. I can work out the system, okay. And I did for those of you who have not watched the first episode and didn't tell little intros. I used to teach in both the UK and New Zealand, and New Zealand has a similar system in that they do have a accruing credit system. But no, not just things. So we've got extra credit. I've heard people say things like they talk about being on a varsity team, which I know you've told me that you were on a varsity team.
Yeah, first swimming and water polo.
I've heard things talk about you having a class valedictorian. I've seen at the end of high school you all get dressed up and have a full graduation. These are all just things that, and there's loads of other little cliches that you hear in American TV shows, and I just go, I'm not an idiot. I can work out what they are and what they mean, but they're not things that I've experienced. And I'm wondering, is there anything in relation to British schooling that you have heard of but have never experienced? Now, you've already touched on uniforms. Is there anything else?
Truthfully, I think I'm at a loss here. The reason being is that as an American, we don't have much exposure to the Brits. If we do, it's you guys coming in to star in one of our terrible shows. So we've got like Super Nanny or something, you know? So we've got like one British person coming in, the rest of us just Americans. Or it's us stealing your TV shows like The Office and then turning them very American. And apparently, according to a lot of Brits, ruining it. I've heard mixed feelings on that though.
Mm-hmm.
Or what's the other one? Shameless, is it? Is that what it's called? Okay. Yeah, I was like, we apparently stole that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've never actually watched that show though. But yeah, so we don't have much exposure to your guys' systems or even more than one person, I think, at a time.
Okay, yeah, that really does show sort of like the cultural homogeny of America, really, in a way that you seem to have. You seem to be the final word on everything.
Well, it's probably also why when we picture you guys, we've either got bad teeth or a bald guy in a black turtleneck sweater who's like, you know, the bad guy.
That's all you see.
Yeah, basically either a British guy with bad teeth or it's like a British guy who's bald in a black turtleneck and he's just the bad guy and he's doing something terrible. One
thing I will point out is like I've just said, I taught in New Zealand for a while, and I do remember one time a student there of mine, she was talking about how because all she'd seen of British schools were things like, I don't know, St. Trinian's or Harry Potter and stuff like that.
Harry Potter, I suppose, yeah.
And so for her, I had to dissuade her of the notion that the majority of British schools are not a big fancy boarding school like those sorts of schools. She thought that's what all British schools were like, and that's where I'd come from, that's what I'd taught in, and it's nothing like, and for anyone who's not British, you might have that notion. Those boarding schools are rare.
A lot of younger people do. I guess I just kind of grew up and realized that wasn't realistic.
No.
Because they portray, like when we're younger, they portray a lot of the schools in like New York and stuff like that even.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of grow up and realize that's not real. So I guess I just kind of put that into fact over here as well and just realized it was probably an inaccurate assumption.
Yeah.
Or portrayal.
They do exist. Don't get me wrong. They're out there. They're out there. But they are not the norm. They are the exception rather than the rule. Okay, so go on.
So I guess the only other thing that I'm interested to see if this show plays into it, honestly, would be that, you know, like I suppose when I went to school and we had dress code, it was always, I don't know, a goal to like individualize yourself without breaking the rules and getting in trouble. So I guess I'm interested to see how you guys do that with uniforms, because to be truthful, I haven't been exposed to it much. I mean, you know, kids aren't really in schools as much, or, you know, have been.
What I want you to keep in mind is those two things. One, what could you compare it to?
Okay.
And then two, is there anything that you want to ask me once we finish watching it about British schools? If you see
I'm sure there'll be 1,001 questions.
I'm looking forward to that because like with most things, like you say in American shows, a lot of the things you see in the Inbetweeners are things that we will be able to relate to. But will obviously be turned up to 11. They're exaggerated.
Okay.
Sometimes it's actually very accurate as to how they act. Okay, so we'll see you in a bit. And we're back, and I appear to have lost some hair in the meantime.
Good looking haircut.
Thank you. It's post that part of those societal restrictions that were in place for reasons that we won't say on camera. YouTube and its algorithms, they don't like it. Well, let's talk less about my strikingly handsome features and haircut. More about the Inbetweeners. What do you think? Thoughts and feelings overall?
First reaction, I'm guessing that it was probably very relatable to kids here, I'm guessing. So it was probably much more funny for you guys. I thought it was funny, don't get me wrong. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of like this super awkward humor. I think, as you know, I get very invested in the characters. Yeah. And so when the characters feel something, I tend to feel something. So the awkwardness comes through really hard to me and it makes me super uncomfortable. So this wasn't the most enjoyable for me watching that aspect, but it was entertaining.
When I was watching through it again, I'd just forgotten how how cringy it was at points, and not in a bad way. I don't mean cringy as like, you know, if anyone under the age of 20 is watching. You know, I don't mean it in a terrible way. I mean just in a case of, oh my god, I can't believe what I'm watching here. And
yeah, but there were a few other things that shocked me too, though. Like, okay, one of the first notes I wrote on the first episode, and I like wrote this on pretty much every other episode as I was watching them, was, yeah, I mean, I just can't help but wonder if like the girls are actually that slutty here, and the guys are just actually that pervy and hard up for sex.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is what we were discussing about previously. I don't think that they portray the girls as being that slutty. You've got the one girl who's...
The one girl certainly is.
But do you not feel it's more the guys, maybe particularly Jay, who is putting that on them?
Oh, absolutely. So there was one particular note that I made actually about that character in particular, and my note to remember who he was, because I wanted to remember the character's name, was blonde rapey boy.
Oh, you dickheads! They're getting away!
Jesus, you make it sound like we're about to attack them.
I can't believe you lost the muff wagon.
Well, what are we going to do anyway? Follow them till they're forced to drive to a police station?
They love it, you two. It's called flirting.
Yeah, a terrifying and unsolicited form of flirting.
And if you didn't drive like such an old woman, we might actually catch up with them.
I'm not going to risk our necks for some random girl.
Yeah, well, I'd give a left bollock for them, so get a fucking move on.
Because I was pretty damn sure, and I think it was like on episode 2, I made a little notation with a little star next to it, and was like, is this kid gonna be a future rapist? Like, he's so pervy and so creepy, and I think by the end you realize he's really not, but like, it was hard getting to that point where you could even tolerate him. Like, he was too much for me.
He is a bit much for some
Maybe
people.
I'm just old, I don't know.
Well, actually, we are their age. Those actors who play those
films, not now.
Yeah, I know, but it's not like the value. We were their age when that stuff was out. Like, that's so. For anyone who doesn't know, me and Meg are both in our early 30s, which means that we.
Thanks, just shout me out there for being old.
But it means that those people in the Inbetweeners, they are all older than us. I think the characters they're playing, like with most things, they're younger than.
Yeah, I guess the way I was trying to watch it, though, was as if I was, like, watching it now.
Oh, well, okay,
so, like,
fair
in that
enough.
case, those characters are younger than me. I wasn't thinking about how old they are now. I was thinking about how old they are when I'm watching the show.
Okay, so let's just kind of start going through it then. So let's go through these notes you've got. So I did ask you to bring up some questions of things that you didn't quite understand about British school life.
Yes.
So I can see on your notes there you've got a few questions written down. So let's go through the questions first.
Okay, so the first thing I had, which was in episode 1, there's a comment about a kid being the school nutter. What the heck does that mean?
Do you understand what the word nutter means?
I don't know, honestly.
You don't know. For the word nutter...
Crazy person?
Yes, essentially.
Oh, okay.
But usually associated with violence as well. Like someone say, oh, they're a bit of a nutter, is like someone who is prone to foul temper and violence, and they're going to, like the character of Donovan is seemingly be,
Yeah, that was who he was referring to, so
Yeah.
that makes sense. There were also things that kind of confused me, like, why are all the new kids automatically freaks? I mean, don't get me wrong, because looking at those kids, they were all a bit odd, for lack of a better word. But I feel like if someone had a hypothetically, like the Donovan kid had got in there, would he have automatically been a freak? Because I don't think that's a fair assumption to automatically label all the new kids freaks.
Yes and no, but I think, again, even in American media, I've seen it where you're the new kid and therefore you're the one who stands out.
You stand out, but I suppose you can make it good or bad.
I guess
it's your
so.
choice.
Well, I think that's the idea of Will. Will is trying to make sure that he does not fit to go into that group.
But he was so harsh, though. Like, he's, like, looking for friends. He's, like, basically... I mean, he doesn't basically... He does flat out say it. That these kids are the mediocre kids, so I'm going to choose them because they're not quite out of my reach, but they're not so shit that I'm going to get beat up every day. So if I make it in with them, I'll be quietly coasting by. It made me feel slightly bad for these kids. The ones that he was trying to join, because I was like, wow, it's kind of a judgmental prick.
He is a judgmental prick. That's the thing about Will.
But
I think
there were so many cringy things about him.
Yeah, and I think that is... You know what, if I have one problem with the Inbetweeners, it's the way that I think whoever wrote it is manifesting themselves through Will. Okay. This is my theory. A person who seems, I reckon, it must be someone who is a bit nerdy themselves and has manifested themselves through Will. This guy who is intelligent and always seems to thinks that he's always right, and
he's a bit of a smartass.
Yeah, but he's also a prick, right? There's no two ways around it. He is.
He is absolutely. Yeah. I think I wrote that in almost every episode. He does so many stupid things. He's all like, "Oh, I want to be accepted. I want to make friends." But then he literally goes to the bar and outs every of being underage. And then, I don't know, there's just a bunch of things where I'm just like, oh, God, please stop. And, honestly, he's such a weird kid. I didn't understand why they were all wearing, sweaters, jumpers, right? Yeah. Jumpers, that's what you guys call them.
You say sweaters as well.
Okay.
It's an either-or one.
Okay. Well, they were all wearing, all the normal kids at school were wearing jumpers, and then all of the, most people were anyway, I suppose, actually, where they were wearing, blue vest versions of it.
Yeah.
And then Will has a blazer and a briefcase. What a weirdo.
Right. So I think this is a deliberate stylistic choice here to try and show up who they're meant to be. So in terms of school uniforms in Britain, it depends where you go. There are some schools that will just allow kids to wear the shirt, the tie, and then a jumper.
Okay.
Where around here up north, I have not really seen that used. And I might be wrong. You might be from the north, and you may have a local school that does that. But the school I went to as a kid, and schools that I have taught at in my former career, and so none of them would have let them just walk around with just a jumper on. The blazers are mandatory. The idea of having the top button done up, the ties at a decent length, that seems as mandatory. So what they're doing by making Will wear the blazer and the rest of them wear the jumper, and they usually have the top buttons undone and the tiny little ties.
Are they trying to make him seem more posh than the others?
He's the proper one. He's not just posh. He's a rule follower.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, we figured that. The
rest of them are trying to get away with what they can get away with in terms of the uniform. And like I say, all kids, when I've been teaching, all the kids would try and get away with it.
So what's with the short ties then?
So that's... go on, finish it.
I was going to say, I just don't understand it. Is that another thing? Because his is worn normally, and then everyone else seems to have, little mini ties. I was like, what is that? How are they getting away with that?
Again, it's sort of a status thing. It's it's meant to be you don't want to follow the rules. So you don't want to wear a tie. You don't want to look proper, and so you wear it in this short little thing. Now, like I said, when I was teaching, the SLT, the upper brass, they had a real hard on for proper uniform standards.
Okay. As
do many schools. I think they're meant to be portraying the school that they're at as being a bit lax, a bit. You've got the Mr. Davis character who doesn't. Oh, that's great. I'm getting it's Mr. Gilbert in it, played by Craig Davis. I got the actor and the character mixed up there. Mr. Gilbert, who clearly doesn't give a shit. And they're meant to be trained that this is a school.
He made me laugh, honestly.
This is a school that doesn't give a shit. Yeah. And so the little ties are kids trying to get away with wearing not proper uniform standards. When I was a teacher, I'd never let a kid get away with that. Okay. And again, if anyone's watching this who is a young person, a student, and you think, why do you care so much? I don't, was the answer. Couldn't give a fuck. Don't care. But I was told to, so I did it. That's it.
It's part of the job.
Yeah. Honestly, if it were up to me, I wouldn't care. But I did it because I was told to.
Fair enough.
And I think their reasoning is, if you hammer them on the little details, then it's never going to escalate into a big behaviour problem. If you are lax on the little details, then bigger behaviour problems arise. That's the mindset. Whether or not that's true, whether or not that works, I don't know. I don't care, to be honest.
I don't know. I got in trouble for my clothes when I was in high school, so what do I know?
But that's why you get kids wearing the sort of uniform they do. That's what they're trying to portray. This is a school that is lax and they have kids who don't really care. That's what they do with the little ties.
You could very much got the impression that with the teacher, who said Mr. Gilbert,
yeah,
didn't write down his name, so I forgot. He made me laugh because the episode where Will gets the rubbish bin put on his head and they like tape him or tie him to the chair or whatever it is, and he's like, "Who did this to you?" And he's like about to rat them out. He's like, "You're gonna tell me that you fell." That you fell and you don't know how this happened. And he's like, you're gonna tell me that you fell.
And now people are starting to go, we need to pull back from that.
Okay.
It's like the word retard being used.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Although that version of the word can also be used to being physically disabled as well.
Yeah.
It's a pretty hateful word. And
it just seemed really harsh. I was like, that's really mean, as if she like chose that or something.
Yeah.
It was really, I don't know. It seemed a very insensitive.
It is very
thing.
insensitive.
And I suppose the point is that they're 16-year-old kids, and so they are typically snotty little shit. Sorry, but I was one of them when I was 16. So what do I know?
I think we all were. I think back in I look at how things are now, and I think how we were back then, and like as kids back then, we would like liberally throw around homophobic terms as just general insults, and it's not nice and it's not right. And I look back and I'm not one of those people who want to go, oh, it was a different time, so it was okay. It wasn't okay back then when we did it, but it's like that now. And I think that they are trying to reflect with that, just like you said, what horrible little shits these people are like.
I mean, again, they were 16. I've told you it before. If you were my teacher when I was 16, you would have hated me. Like, absolutely not wanted me in your class. I was a terror in my own way. So.
Other questions?
So it's Childline. So, like, they make a comment in the one episode where they're like, I'm gonna call Childline. Is that like the child abuse hotline or something?
Sort of, yes. Childline is available for children to ring if they are suffering from any sort of abuse.
Abuse. Okay, so it's the child abuse hotline.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So that's what the same as we have. I thought that that's what it was, but I wasn't quite sure. So I only had 2 other big remaining questions.
Okay.
The first one is, what the hell is Crazy Frog? Like, I was like watching this and he's like, Crazy Frog, and I'm like, what?
Do you guys remember Crazy Frog?
This is probably just me, to be fair. I'm sure other Americans know about it. I just am clueless.
So we got to point out Meg is culturally is a cultural vacuum. Like, she didn't just take. Honestly, I don't know what you were spending your childhood doing. So if there's any American viewers out there, did you guys know Crazy Frog? I think you did, because I remember.
They probably did. It's very much probably me.
I remember they released like a dance track with him on, and it was like mixed with the
dance track.
Yeah, so it was like a song mixed with like the Crazy Frog doing his weird little Crazy Frog sound effects, and they mixed it with the Beverly Hills Cop theme by Axel F. I'm gonna have to play. I'm gonna cut this in. Well, right, I'm gonna edit this in. Edit this in.
I want you to show me this.
I'm gonna show it to you. It was awful. It was. So do you remember back in the day when you would always be sold ringtones, like on an advert, TV adverts?
Oh yeah.
The Crazy Frog was a big one of those.
Oh, okay. So was it like a digitally type thing sounding, or was it like techno-y, or what was it?
Sort of. It was just this weird looking frog, and I remember they had this thing.
Wait, so was it a ringtone or was it something else?
It was a ringtone. It was a song. It was.
Wow.
And there was a big controversy over it because when it was first, so there's a cartoon version of the frog that appeared.
Okay.
And when it first appeared, it had this little tiny little nub where its dick was, and it was like meant to be its dick, and they had to like edit it out because people got offended because there was this little frog knob on the TV.
People need to find a hobby if that's the thing that offends you.
Okay, so that's your weird questions out of the way. Hopefully you've got some better knowledge now. Mm-hmm. So let's start running through now. What were your favourite characters and favourite moments and least favourite characters and moments? And let's have a bit of discussion as to why. So
Okay. Well, my favorite character, and I know she didn't appear all that much, but it was definitely Carly, and I think that's because I found her relatable. She was kind of like the girl next door, friends with everyone. Guy has a crush on her, and she has no freaking clue, which was definitely me, except I didn't find out he had a crush on me until I was 25. Yeah, my best friend finally told me. Sorry.
Hi, if you're watching.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna yell her name out because that's embarrassing, but sorry. Yeah, favorite moments though. Definitely top moment would be Carly's brother getting puked on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that hysterical. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
The overall favorite episode though would be the theme park day. So like that one and the ride home at the end, I suppose. So he gets his new car, they go to the theme park, door gets ripped off. Then the ride home and such. And then another favorite moment is where the mom is basically telling Will to go for a plain girl and essentially tells him that he's ugly. That one made me laugh. I was like, I think the whole concept of that in general, though, really made me laugh that like his mom was very obviously clued in.
Yeah.
On where he stood socially so much more than he was.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you so oblivious to this? And your mom obviously seems to get it. Not just because she's gone through this shit already, but...
Okay, so I want to just quickly go through some of the things that you've just said then. Favourite character, Carly. Did not expect her. She's very much a secondary character.
Yeah, like I said, she didn't appear much, but I liked her.
You know what? I like the character of Carly. She is played by Emily Head, who is the daughter of Anthony Head, who was in like Buffy and stuff like that.
Who's he playing Buffy?
He's Giles, I think, the English guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That would make sense.
Yeah. And I believe...
I've only seen a few episodes of that show, to be fair.
Unless I'm really mistaken, and I've not watched the Inbetweeners movie in a while, but I'm pretty sure...
Movie?
Yeah, there's 2 movies.
Oh.
We might watch those one day. But I'm pretty sure Anthony Head shows up at playing Will's dad. I might be wrong. I could be wrong there.
Yeah.
But I think he does.
Funny twice.
But yeah, so Carly. Carly's an interesting character, right? Because I'm going to spoil the movie for you here in the end.
Why aren't you making me watch it then?
Because, well, one of the main things is about how it sort of underlines, like draws to a close the whole thing of Simon's obsession with Carly.
Yeah, it is an obsession. It's creepy, bro. Let it go.
Well, okay, that's right. That's what I thought, and that's why I thought the Inbetweeners movie wraps it up in a bit of a creepy, weird way. Because what essentially happens is on this movie, Simon meets this girl who is...
That was the front door. It was on purpose.
And now I'm just sat here alone, talking to myself. You see that? That is the essence of chaos theory. Okay, so Carly's an interesting character. So, it's a bit of a secondary character, not one I thought you would pick as a favourite character. But, you know what? In terms of the movies, they sort of draw a line under the whole story with Carly and Simon's obsession with her. And I don't like how they did it. So the whole point of the movie is that they're away on this trip abroad, and again Carly's there, and Simon is obsessed with her, and he's trying to make it happen as he always is. And
how long into the future has it been at this point? Just out of curiosity.
A couple of years, I imagine.
Okay.
And he ends up meeting this nice girl. They end up meeting this group of girls.
Okay.
And there's this girl who's clearly into Simon. And she's much nicer, and she's into him, and that sort of thing. And it's all about him trying to come to terms with the fact that he should be having his attention elsewhere. But then at the end, they sort of... Well, that's the thing, like, right at the end, they make it out so that Carly is like this drunken mess who only throws herself at Simon when she needs attention. I don't know.
That seems like a dark turn for her character.
Yeah.
I always took her as the sweet girl next door, like friends with everyone.
I get...
They grew up together, right?
Yeah, and I get some weird incel-y vibes from that sort of writer. They're going like, the girl I wanted for ages rejected me, and now she's this drunken, horrible mess, and I now ended up with this other girl who is at once attractive but also sweet and innocent and semi-virginal, that sort of thing. And it's just, I don't like it. I don't like any of the way that movie. The only way that wraps up, the only character who I like the way it wraps up for, really, is sort of Jay.
Really creepy rapey boy?
Yeah, because he has to sort of like, he sort of comes to terms with the idea that his conventional standards of beauty might not be the be all and end all. No, like, I'm not. It's not a funny point I'm trying to make. It's basically there's this girl who he clearly likes.
Okay.
But he doesn't want to admit it because she's not super skinny and not.
Oh,
yeah.
it's the other way. I see.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go with the route of that he has an unattainable view of what his expectation of what his beautiful girl should be.
Well, yeah, he does, and the idea that he gets over that.
Oh,
And he sort of,
okay.
so this one girl, because she is not, I mean, she's an attractive woman, don't get me wrong, she is, but because she's not like skinny, size 0 model, you know, he has to come to terms with the idea that I actually do find her attractive and I actually do want to be with her. And I have to get over my own shit to like...
There's more to somebody than their looks.
Yeah, and no, it's not even that. It's not like she's unattractive just because she's a bit bigger. Like, that's...
She just has natural curves. Good for her.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is.
Girl, that's important.
That's all it is, and he has to get over that. Like, the actress who plays her is an attractive woman. It's not like she's ugly.
She is, yeah.
It's not like, oh, he fell for the ugly one. It's just that she's not what he considers to be beautiful, and he has to get over that and come to terms with the idea that and that is the only real conclusion, I think. Anyway, we're going on to the movie here, and we're getting back to the first series. So those are your favourite characters and moments, least favourite. So let's go.
Again, least favorite character was Jay. I just put on here pathological liar. Feel like this kid's gonna be a future rapist. Those were my main points on why I really didn't like him. I mean, they kind of go into, like, I guess, why he's so craving for attention, in my opinion, which is that his dad seems kind of like a misogynistic asshole. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
he was really terrible. Like, the way he talked about his own kid, he just humiliated him, and he was just such a shit person. I was like, I almost kind of feel bad for the kid, but then I was like, he's really creepy, so I don't know.
So in terms of when you say least favourite, right? I know what you mean. Jay is a detestable character.
Yeah.
But he's a lot of people's favourites. Not because not because they like him and think, oh, he's a top guy who I want to be friends with, I want to be like.
Entertaining?
But the character is entertaining. He is the one that everyone sort of mimics in terms of like, if any of the quotes and that sort of thing, it's usually Jay. It's usually that sort of...
Well, who was the one that said Spunkmobile? Because that one was funny. That was one of my funny comments I wrote down. I thought that was a funny term. Yeah, that was in the episode right after they go home from the... Is it... No, it's not the theme park. It's the caravan club.
The caravan club, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the way back. It's episode 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on their way back. And what was the kid's name?
Neil.
Yeah, Neil. The really dumb kid. I was trying to find a nicer way to say it, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, after he hooked up with that girl and his car soaked in it. Yeah, I think it may have been Jay that made that comment that made me laugh, but
And lastly, interesting or weird things. What did you just took? Basically, Meg just took a load of notes of things that she just didn't either get or just found weird.
Just like weird differences. It's not necessarily like weird as a concept. It's just like some of them were just big differences. So like one of the things I thought was like an interesting difference was how small your lockers are. Like they looked like the lockers that belong at like a theme park where you like put your backpack for the day. Like it's freaking weird.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have.
Our lockers were like as tall as me.
My high school when I was at school.
What?
Are you talking textbooks here?
Yeah, textbooks.
Right. So most classes, we don't really study from textbooks all the time, and if you do, in the classes where you are using textbooks, they're the property of the school, and the teacher hands them out before the lesson. So they're stored in the classroom.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, we don't... I mean, the fact is, if we let those kids take their own books out everywhere, they get damaged,
Well, they do get damaged, so they make us, like, check them out, basically, they call it the book depository, and basically it was just like you had to check in your books and check them out at the beginning and end of each school year. Subject every single day, so I had one set for home and one set for school.
So, but yeah, it's not a thing in the UK. We don't have to carry around all these books.
That's crazy.
Most of the time, even like when I was teaching, unless I'd set them homework, I just kept their books in a tray in my classroom.
Yeah, we would have needed our books for homework. You need it for homework. You need it for papers. You need it for everything.
Right. So let's move on. In the interest of time.
Yes. Okay. So other weird random things, and I'm not sure if this is just a thing here or if it's just a thing in the show, but all of these kids seem to ask their parents for 20 quid, and their parents just handed it over.
Yeah.
Absolutely no questions, no queries as to why or what did they need it for. You should earn it yourself. They were just like, okay. None of my friends or my parents ever would have done something like that. My parents were like, oh, you should have babysat on the weekend or something.
I am probably similar to you in that regard. I don't think my parents would have just...
But even my friends that were super well off, their parents never would have done that.
Yeah, my parents weren't...
Odd.
My parents weren't super well off, but and I just think that... No, like they wouldn't just give us money. I think, again, they're trying to show that these characters...
a certain way that they live.
And they don't have any real problems, as it were.
Yeah.
Like all their
that was very apparent.
All their problems are superficial.
Yeah. One of the other really nice differences, though, and I'm not gonna lie, I made me slightly jealous watching this, is that you guys are legally allowed to drink at 18. Okay, yeah. So there was one thing that was said in I think it was episode 2, when they were talking about what was her name? Charlotte.
Yeah.
The one guy called her Jugosaurus Rex.
No, he doesn't.
I thought that was what he said.
No, he calls one of Carly's friends Jugosaurus Rex in the park.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Alright, okay. Well, somebody gets called Jugosaurus Rex, and it made me laugh really hard. I was like, wow, it's an immature comment, but it's funny.
Is the word jugs used for boobs in America? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
move on.
Very much is.
Yeah.
Something that made me laugh really hard, though, was that super lame house party. Yeah, so it reminded me of a 13-year-old's birthday party, honestly. I was expecting some kids to be taking their turn in the closet playing 7 Minutes in Heaven or something. It was freaking weird. The parents were upstairs in their bedroom. Like, what was this? It was so awkward.
Okay, first thing, I've never... I went to some house parties when I was in college, so I have been to sort of lame sort of house party things. Never with the parents upstairs. I have heard of that happening, but whenever we had house parties, it was...
Somebody was out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
Next thing, again, it's a thing that I've heard in movies and TV shows, but I have no idea what it is. 7 Minutes in Heaven, what is that? I've heard it because of Fall Out Boy, actually.
Sometimes you get asked, sometimes they just pair you off, like it's like almost like assigned or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like pulling names out of a hat type of thing. But basically you go into a closet with somebody, you spend 7 minutes in there, and the choice of what you do in the closet in 7 minutes is up to the two of you. The assumption is usually that there's hanky-panky going on between people. But...
In 7 minutes?
In 7 minutes.
That's fair play to them.
They're like 13-year-old kids. This is like the step up from Spin the Bottle, okay? This is not like anything terrible is happening. It's not like they're having sex. It's usually like...
That's what hanky-panky means.
Oh my god. Fiddling around. I don't know what you want to call it.
Fiddling around.
What? Does that mean the same thing?
What is wrong with your country that this happens?
Oh, please. No, don't even go there. Okay. My country is not that terrible. Although one thing did make me laugh in terms of the relatability of things that we have issues, I'm not going to say, but...
Go on, Karen.
Yeah, so one of the things that definitely made me laugh, though, and I found relatable and kind of made me laugh that it was thankfully the same in both countries, is that it's good to know dads are embarrassing everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they got picked up by, was it Simon's dad? Yeah, in the car after the party, I just...
In fact, I think I met your mum at a house party, Simon.
Jesus Christ.
Ooh, she was wild. And after that, she didn't just like keeping it upstairs. No, we did it in the kitchen, in the garage. I think we notched one up in the greenhouse once.
Right, stop the car, I'm going to walk home.
Oh, come on, Simon. Me and your mum like doing it too, you know.
Oh, they do it in your ass, Dad! So embarrassing!
Oh, your mum loves it.
Started talking about, like, him and his mom and stuff, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, oh, flashbacks here. Yeah. It's good to know dads are embarrassing everywhere. Good job, dads. One of the other things that gave me major flashbacks was when they were playing Sexy Back by JT.
Yeah.
Some good flashbacks there, some old times.
Do you like Neil's dancing?
Oh yeah. Top
Yeah.
notch. Yeah.
Neil's dancing is a prominent feature in the later series as well.
Oh really?
Yeah,
He seems like a funny kid. Like he
Yeah.
seems like he's got a good heart, and like it kind of made me sad they didn't do more with him. I guess he was meant to be the stupid kid, but like
he does feature more in later series, and yeah, like because he's meant to be kind of stupid, but he's also
not like stupid. He's just like oblivious. Is
yes,
what it is.
and he's sort of devoid of the embarrassments that the others feel, all the social
He
faux
always
pas.
seems to be off somewhere when all this stuff's happening.
And he seems to be above it all. Like all the stuff that bothers the others doesn't bother him,
It doesn't faze him at all.
and he just seems to be happier for it. Like,
Yeah, I know. And I was like, props to him. Seems like a cool kid.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I was kind of happy. As like weird as it sounds, when he hooked up with the girl, I was like, oh, good for him. Oh. Yeah, but which was always kind of weird to me that, like, honestly, they're all trying so hard, and the thing that really got me is that Will obviously isn't having not having sex due to a lack of options.
Mm-hmm.
So why is he trying so hard and failing so miserably?
That is another thing.
It like was painful to watch. I was like, he acts like he can't get it, but that's not the issue. Girls have literally thrown himself at them.
Yeah.
It's just
That is another thing about Will, again, as a character, which makes me think that the writer is living vicariously through him.
I think
It's like, you've got this weird, nerdy, awful character, and yet all the most attractive women always end up just sort of falling for his shy awkwardness. I'm like, fuck off, that doesn't happen. That's not how it
well,
works.
and like the punk girl at the caravan club
Yeah.
who's like, let's just go outside. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like...
I mean, I am aware of the irony of me saying that the weird, awkward guy doesn't have an attractive woman throwing themselves at me, compared, given the...
I hope you're meeting me.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
given the situation I find myself in right now, but still, just because it happened for me doesn't mean it happened for you.
You're my weirdo, it's alright.
Curb your dreams, nerds.
He's my weirdo, sorry ladies. So yeah, the other thing I thought was really interesting was when they showed at what was it, like the winter prom or whatever, the thing at the end.
Yeah, the Christmas do at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
The snowflake prom, or that's what I'm gonna call it, because it was overdone with snowflakes.
So this is one, just before you carry on. This is one of these times and I think Mr. Gilbert brings it up of like this recent idea of British schools Americanizing a bit.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And we do it very badly, it would seem, in comparison. Like, I was always... So, like, the word prom... I have been to year 11 proms as a member of staff, in my teaching capacity. But when...
Go to your prom?
But when I was a kid, it wasn't called that. It was just called the year 11 leavers do. It was very much the same thing, but it was this idea of Americanizing it, like a prom is...
Wait, when you say do, though, doesn't that mean you had dinner?
Yeah.
They gave you guys food there, too? What the heck?
But
That's weird.
the year 11 prom has a dinner as well.
Okay, so we all went out to restaurants beforehand.
No, we
would never actually...
We get
They
fed.
don't serve food there.
No, we
It's
get
not
fed.
within the budget. That's not reasonable.
Oh, you have to the kids pay for that.
Yeah, you have to pay for a ticket.
You pay for a ticket and food's not in the budget. That's
Absolutely not.
bollocks. That's absolutely
Please,
bollocks.
my prom was absolute shit. I was so angry that I graduated the year I did. Because all of the proms are themed. So I was 08, so it was Ocean's 08. It was fucking terrible. They had like what looked like childhood, I don't know, like it looked like it belonged at a kids finding Nemo party, okay? And they like taped them up to the wall with very obvious masking tape. And I was like, this is so badly decorated. Like, a child could have done this better in their sleep than these grown-ass adults obviously did. It was really bad. But the year before me was 007, because they were 2007. And oh god, I wish I'd been in that graduating class so bad. Best prom theme. You know I'm a big James Bond fan.
Meg is a big James Bond fan, so for anyone in the future hoping that we will do a James Bond episode...
Oh, we can.
No, we can't, unless we go to the new
We can,
one.
but it won't be new.
Yeah, it's not new to her. She knows more about it than me, so it's... it'll sort of ruin the theme. When there's a new Jimmy Bond out, we can watch that.
Yeah, so my last big observation and weird thing with the show that I just found completely not plausible for 16-year-olds, or just generally kids around this age, is that there would ever be a chance in hell that Charlotte would date Will. Like, unless... I know this sounds really terrible, but, like, unless it was a joke or a prank, there's no way that would have happened. Not in a million years.
I think they were trying to imply that she's just getting back at her ex.
They were trying to imply it, yeah, but then like it actually seemed like she liked him in the last episode, and I was like, this is just so dumb.
Yeah, this was me. This was another one of those things
I was
said
to say,
that-
I feel like it's what you're saying with the writer, how he's trying to like basically make himself feel better.
Yeah.
This is what that feels like to me, because let me tell you, as a 16-year-old girl, there is no way in hell she would have ever gone for someone like him.
No,
No,
not.
it wouldn't have happened. Maybe in his dreams, but not certainly in real life.
One thing then about Will, we sort of touched on earlier, but before we move on, I did want to hit this because I thought it's an interesting British cultural thing, particularly with amongst young lads. Do you think it's, again, you might tell it's an American thing, the obsession with Will's mum and the idea that if you have an attractive mother, that makes you a target of mockery?
I don't know. I suppose... I mean, you'd probably hear about if someone's mom was attractive. I guess we never, as girls, really cared much about that, I guess.
Yeah, okay. But do you think everything about American lads would do that?
I don't know if you necessarily mock for it. I'm honestly not sure, I guess. Maybe one of the American guys watching can tell us. I honestly have no clue in regards to that. I know that if you had like a sister or something that was cute, you definitely would get mocked.
Okay, fair
But
enough.
there was always like the no sister rule from my understanding.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's fair enough. But yeah, I just remember thinking about that. The idea of a hot mum is.
I can't help but wonder though, when they were in, was it on the way to the theme park or the caravan club, when they stopped at the petrol station to
Yeah.
fill up the car, and they were like looking through the porno magazines.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, doesn't that look like your mom? I was pretty damn sure that was foreshadowing. And I thought it was going to get touched on in the last episode, but then it didn't. So maybe it's next season? Do they basically come out and say that the way that Will's mom is making money is by doing pornography? And like...
I don't know, actually.
Oh,
Don't think
okay. Alright. Have you not watched season 2 then?
I have, yeah, but I it's been a while, so I've totally missed it.
I was really hoping that was a foreshadowing and that was going to be like the big cliffhanger at the end of the season. But the season letdown was like actually a letdown. Like, I honestly think that if that show was on TV and I was that age, I would not have gone to watch season 2 because there wasn't enough of a cliffhanger.
Okay, fair enough. I will point that out right now for anyone who is going to make some comment in the comments about, oh, why did you discuss this? It is because we only watched season 1. So if you're if you're writing something in the comments like, oh, why didn't you talk about bus wankers or Neil punching a fish or something like that?
Bus wankers punching a fish?
I know you've not watched it all, or you commented prematurely, right? Watch all the episode, then comment, right? Season 1 only. That's all we did. Maybe we will get to series 2. We'll see.
I have so many new questions now.
Oh, well, there we go. I've sparked an interest. Tell you what, you want to see us do series 2? Get liking, get commenting, get watching, get sharing. If it's popular, we'll do a series 2 eventually. Meg, have you got anything else you wanna touch on before we wrap up here?
No, just that I think in a lot of ways it seems like the basis of kids being shallow and I don't know, popular versus losers is not all that different over here. It's just
There is a similarity between.
Yeah, there's a similarity between the class systems within schools themselves, I guess.
Okay, guys, that's about it for today. Only one last thing to do, and that's to see what Meg thought of the Inbetweeners. So, out of 5 stars, what are we giving the Inbetweeners Series 1?
Ooh, so because I am limited to half star, I suppose, like amounts basically, I can't do in between that. I guess I'll have to put it at 4. It was definitely not as low as a 3.5, so I'll have to go for 4.
So you're saying that you thought the Inbetweeners was better than Blackadder Goes Forth?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just more entertaining to me. It was more lighthearted.
It is more lighthearted. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think the subject matter of Blackadder, again, it was meant to be very serious, and I tried to take it as such, but yet it was a comedy, so.
Right, well, that's Meg's opinion.
Yeah, I might be wrong, so I mean, if you think differently, let me know. And why. I'm happy to hear it.
Let us know, okay. And also, let us know what else you would like us to see. We don't want to just stick to watching things, we want to experience British culture as a whole. One thing I was going to bring up just at the end of this episode is that we are rapidly approaching June, which is going to mean that we can go places again. Amazing. And I would like to take this on the road somewhere. I want us to go see places, do things. So if you have any suggestions on that front too, that would be amazing. Or if you just want to sit here and watch another British comedy or some films or whatever, we're going to do plenty of those too.
I want to see things. Send me out.
But on that note, please do give us a like, give us a subscribe, get your comments in. It really does help us. It means the world, honestly, in all seriousness. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.